I was more actually in denial than Laura was. That can't be, my child's not autistic.
Before I used to think that I want him to be a doctor, a lawyer. Now I just want him to be like a regular kid, a regular teenager.
We're Alejandro's only advocate. We're the ones that will fight the most for him. And if we don't do it, then he doesn't have anyone else to do it. Alejandro's disability has actually brought us closer together.
Welcome everyone to Family Comes First. I'm Vincent J. Russo.
And I'm Victoria Roberts-Drogan. Thank you for joining us today. 1 in every 91 children born today in the United States is diagnosed with this condition.
It is estimated that approximately 1 million children and adults are living with this special need.
We are talking about autism. Today we will speak to the Blanco family. When Alejandro was born, Alex and Laura never imagined that their child would be anything but normal.
But first, we have experts with us who can provide resources and answers to the many questions that parents have regarding their child with autism. Welcome Dr. Ellen Morris Tiegerman, founder and executive director of the School for Language and Communication Development, SLCD, and Christine Austin, a behavior specialist at the school.
Thank you both so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to start with, can I call you Dr. T?
Absolutely.
I just love that. So my first question is, what does it mean when a child is diagnosed with autism or is on the spectrum?
Autism is a developmental disability. We're very lucky today that we're able to diagnose it usually between 18 and 24 months. But parents really need to look at 3 primary characteristics if they have concerns. Deficits in language, social, and behavioral skills. And if they focus on those 3 things and they have any developmental concerns, then they need to see their pediatrician. In addition to that, autism runs along a spectrum. There's a continuum here of those 3 behaviors, ranging from children who can't communicate at all the way up to children who have Asperger's syndrome and are able to speak and communicate, but they have social skills that are problematic.
Would you tell us a little bit about the school, SLCD?
Sure.
And how it started, how many students you service?
Sure. I started SLCD about 26 years ago, and the reason that I started it was because I grew up with a younger sister who had a developmental disability. So when I had the opportunity to open a school that focused primarily on this population, but our philosophy is in terms of language development, I started the school in 1985, and we've never looked back since then.
Okay. Well, what makes your school different?
Well, I think there are a couple of things that parents need to think about, and one is, generally speaking, the school district provides supportive services in special education. Any school district on Long Island. They all have very, very good programs. But I think the issue for a parent is whether or not their child can function in the least restrictive environment, which is a general education class. So if I'm going to make a comparison for a parent, I would say if your child can function in terms of his language, social, and behavioral skills in a regular classroom, then that's where he needs to be. If he needs a very intensive program, like an IC unit in a hospital, where there's a tremendous amount of intensive training and therapeutic services, then the parent really needs to look at a non-public school like SLCD. And what makes us different is the fact that our entire philosophy focuses on language development and training.
You really were a trailblazer when you started this school up. And how many kids again are you serving today?
We can serve 540 children.
Wow.
So we have an elementary school in Glen Cove, a middle school in Woodside, and a high school program in Richmond Hill.
Did you ever think this would grow the way it has over the years?
I did not.
Yeah.
So it's a dream come true.
And a tremendous need.
Yes, absolutely.
Christine, could you you tell us a little bit about the teaching approach in the classroom for your children and students?
Sure, absolutely. Basically, for our children who are on the spectrum, or any of our children really in our school, our philosophy is language-based, as Dr. T had said. We're working towards language development. We're working towards the New York State curriculum. What makes us different and makes us unique, our program, is that we use a transdisciplinary approach in our programs. We have speech therapists, we have occupational therapists, we have physical therapists, we have special education teachers, we have art therapists and music therapists. And what we're doing right now is we're collaborating in the classrooms. We're using a transdisciplinary model to work with these children on the spectrum.
So we will do anything to get a child to talk and communicate. That's our primary mission.
And maybe not by speaking, actually.
You're absolutely right, because there are other mechanisms and sort of modalities for children. Communication boards. We teach sign language.
That's great.
So we'll use any technique to get a child to communicate in a classroom.
What kind of problems do the parents have raising a child with autism?
I think they have significant problems, particularly at the beginning, and they don't know what it is that they're looking at or looking for. And then once the child is diagnosed, there's a tremendous amount of frustration and guilt because parents don't know what to look at going forward. I would describe a family as a mobile. And if you have typical children, then the mobile is in balance. When you have a child with special needs, the mobile is out of balance. And what families really need to learn to do once the child is diagnosed is come back into balance.
And I think the first step might be, with some parents, it's a denial.
Yes, there's really a continuum, a process emotionally for parents. It's very difficult for them to accept the fact that the child has special needs, particularly a label like that.
Right.
So it's a learning process in a family to understand what that label actually means and then what the long-term implications are.
And even to know what to look for.
Yes.
You know, the symptoms that may or may not indicate something are hard to recognize sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. What kind of things can parents do at home to support children who are in the school system?
Well, basically at home, parents really need to be, and what Dr. T was saying is that they have a difficult role at home. They're the parents first and foremost, but then they also need to become, at certain points, their teachers as well.
And an advocate, too.
And an advocate, absolutely, for their students. The difficulties they face is, how do I teach my child, working with families, how do I teach my child to ask for help? How do I teach my child to ask for more, to tell me that they need the bathroom, things like that. So really, the problems that families do face is the support services. So they really need to educate themselves as far as what support services are out there. We offer a lot of support services through our organization for our families. We have evaluation services. We have parent training services as well.
Dr. T, what's the long-term prognosis for children with autism?
I think today, when I look back at my sister's disability many years ago, today the prognosis is excellent. We have a high school, as I said, in Queens, and we can see our students coming up. Most of them have had early intervention. They've been in special education for 15, 16 years. And when I look at the graduation rate and what's available for them once they do graduate, it is tremendous. Because the whole focus today is really on developing supports in the community so that adults with disabilities can enter the workforce and live independently.
It's tremendous.
It is. It's wonderful.
And we have such a gap. I'm so concerned about housing for these adults, especially the young adults. We take care of our parents in nursing homes and assisted living, and we take care of our children when they're young at home, and we really have this gap. And I know that's something you're thinking about very much, about how do you have that continuum and give housing options.
Yes, we're very concerned about that issue, given the economics going on in our environment, because there's literally a registry on Long Island and 2,400 adults with disabilities are waiting for placements. And it's a 5 to 10 year waiting list.
Wow.
It's to me, it's very, very disturbing. So we're looking to develop a residence for our families.
Okay, we're running out of time, so quickly, what would be one or two key questions parents should be asking of their school if they have a child with autism?
What kind of services do you provide in this program? And what kind of supports are you going to provide for my child in that classroom with 25 other typical learners?
Well, thank you so much. I wish we had a whole hour just to keep you
So
in the
valuable.
studio here with all the questions we have.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Recently, we sat down with Alex and Laura Blanco to learn about Alejandro. And we'll also meet his younger brother and his baby sister.
Alejandro was about 20 months when Gabriel was born. That's when we first realized that something might be wrong, because Alejandro was typically developing. He walked early, he stood early, he spoke early, had about 20 or so words at the time. And once Gabriel came into the house, he started to speak a lot less. He would go off into the corner and be by himself, not really speak at all to us or make eye contact with us. So it's one of those things where we brought him to the doctor, and the doctor told us not to worry, that this was normal, and when a new kid comes into the home, children typically will react that way, and that's wasn't the case. Alejandro was indeed autistic, and when we had him evaluated, they told us that he was on the autism spectrum and that he was moderately autistic. In other words, it was something severe.
I was really sad, and I didn't know what to think. I thought that was something wrong that I did on the pregnancy, or something that I ate, or I didn't know what to think about it. I never heard that word. I never knew anything.
I remember when we first started to tell our family and friends, and initially when my mother would come over, she'd spend most of the time in the bathroom crying about it. We don't have that luxury. We had to move on, and it's something that we talk about and pray about, and we're always together and help each other in so many different ways. But we're Alejandro's only advocate. We're the ones that will fight the most for him, and if we don't do it, then he doesn't have anyone else to do it. It was very tough to continue having a regular 9 to 5. Banking hours is supposed to be 9 to 3, but it's never just 9 to 3 or 9 to 5. And Laura really needed a lot more help at home with him. And I had been an advisor in the bank as well, and decided to open my own practice, helping families with children with disabilities, and tailored my advising practice towards that. You need different advisors and different professionals and therapists to help you, family, friends, because it's so tough to raise a child with a disability. You need all the support you can get. I find in my practice not only that people come in denial, that they won't come in and they're in denial. And that's actually one of the toughest things to deal with for me, because I know that I can help. I know that they are in trouble. I know what their kid's going through. And the longer you wait early on, the more damage it'll do. Early intervention, when you can get help for someone very early on and they can get past the denial, it can make a world of difference. You can bring your child back. Alejandro got early intervention very late because we were in denial. At first, we weren't really concerned. We knew we wanted to have more children. Alejandro was typically developing. We didn't have that many concerns. It was as things started to go a little wrong, where he started to lose his words and speak less. Laura was already, quite a ways into her pregnancy, and the doctors were obviously telling us that he was fine. So we didn't. We weren't that concerned with him. We were more concerned with Isabella.
It took us 5 years to have Isabella because we were concerned that we were going to have another child like Alejandro, but then we always wanted to have a girl. So we try again, and we have a girl. Now we just worry about other things.
When we made the decision to continue to have children and have Isabella, we did it because we didn't want to be afraid. You can always be scared, always be afraid. Will our children get sick? Will they have a disability? Will he run into the street? We didn't want to live life that way, to always be afraid. That's why we try to keep as much of a normal life as possible. Family vacations and family events and birthdays and parties and taking him to different places, because the more we expose him to that, the more he'll have a normal life, whether he has a disability or not.
I just hope that someday he will learn how to drive, how to take care of himself, have friends. Before I used to think that I want him to be a doctor, a lawyer. Now I just want him to be like a regular kid, a regular teenager.
Alejandro's disability has actually brought us closer together. We have a great family and support. We pray about it. And I think we're just good for each other. We complement each other very well. And we work very well together. That's where I see us. Yeah, we're a good team.
We are now joined by Alex and Laura Blanco. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
And also Isabella.
Yes.
So beautiful.
And busy.
There you go. Yes, a busy child here.
Yeah.
Great to have you with us. I'm going to just take you back 7 years ago. Alejandro was born, your first child, and at some point there were some concerns. Talk a little about what those concerns were and how they surfaced.
Well, shortly after Gabriel was born, Alejandro was approximately 20 months old, and he started to go into the corner, not make eye contact with us, and become less social. And he had always talked and was developing ahead of schedule. At that point, he just stopped. We thought at first that maybe he was a little jealous of Gabriel, and everybody told us it was normal. But when we had him checked out, we indeed found out that he was on the autism spectrum and he was moderately autistic.
Okay. Yeah. That would be a shock.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
It took us a long time to get over that.
Sure.
And get him some help.
Sure.
At that point, what was, I guess at that point and now, as it's progressed, what was a typical day like for you then with him, for you,
You're involved in every aspect of the child's life. You always have an eye on him because it's always a flight response where they can escape and, be in danger. And also, everything from your daily skills of, going to the bathroom and eating and feeding and bathing all require a one-to-one help and aid.
Your whole focus shifts dramatically.
Yes, it does.
And now we got to make sure Alejandro's safe and happy and doing well, and then everything falls around that. That's what happened with our Teresa when she came into our lives, and it just dramatically just changed our lives in a moment.
When you try to, as much as you can, make it as normal a life as possible and include the siblings as well and have them interact as much as they can.
Right. And how is that? How do they interact? I mean, this little angel here takes up a lot of time now, How does that work? How are they with the baby? How are the kids with Alejandro?
Gabriel, that's all he knows.
It's a help. He's really good with Alejandro. He always says, "Don't worry, mommy. I'm gonna teach Alejandro how to talk. Don't worry, I'm gonna help him.
So
he's
he
really
became
good.
the helper.
Every time he makes a little bit of progress or does something new or learns a new skill, Gabriel always tells us, we found another piece to the puzzle, the autism puzzle. It's
How
very
many
cute.
pieces we need more? How many more we need now?
That's
Well,
beautiful, though.
Laura, that must make you feel really good. The support you get from your second child. I know how important it was to have a second child and now a third. So, Laura, what's your day like now that you have 3 children?
Well, morning, breakfast and put the kids in school,
Right.
and then I have time with the little one, and then I have to make lunch when Alejandro comes back, and then we have all the therapies.
Right. Therapies in the afternoon?
Yes,
You must get real tired at that point.
right.
Yeah.
And then he needs to have a break, so I try to have like 45 minutes, half an hour between therapies, so at least he have a break.
Let me ask you about Alejandro and what he likes doing. What makes him happy?
He loves the water. He loves pool and beach and the swing. He's very active child, trampoline, anything like that will get him smiling ear to ear, playing with Daddy. Now he's even interacting and playing soccer with his younger brother Gabriel, and they kick the ball back and forth to each other. It's very nice.
That's great.
It's good to see. We were very hopeful that something like that would happen eventually.
What are some of your goals, and I guess concerns and goals for him in the future as he grows up?
Well, Laura and I have a little bit of a differing of opinion yet.
So then we want to hear from both of you. Equal time.
Each of you.
I want him to be independent,
Okay.
And that means?
able to work, to drive a car, to leave us in home, things like that.
Sure.
From that aspect, we want the same thing. I think we'll go at it a different way. I'd like for him to eventually, get out of the house and have a job and be independent in that way. And Laura, I think, kind of hopes maybe that she sees him more in the house, kind of staying with us for the longer term. And I'd like to get him going.
Well, we're going to have you back a number of years from now, and we'll find out. But it's important to have these hopes. It really is, and things can happen in a very positive way. What accommodations are being made at school for him?
Well, he's in a special program, and I think they're doing a fantastic job. We see the progress. It is slow, it is steady. There are times where he'll take a step forward and 2 steps back.
Right.
And during the breaks, there's always some regression. During the school breaks, vacations, and things like that. But
is progress being made?
Progress is definitely being made, and he's a bright boy. His biggest difficulty is his speech and language.
Communication.
Yeah.
So, just briefly, a message that you'd like to share with other parents who have a child who is autistic or on the spectrum. Laura, what message?
As a mom.
As a mom.
Just love him.
Love him. Yeah.
And for me, just try to make it as much as you can a normal life for them. Keep them engaged. Don't keep them locked in the house. We can't go here, we can't go there because we have an autistic child. Get them out on vacations. Get them going to birthday parties. Get them out. And if you think your child might have something, have them checked out and get early intervention as soon as possible. That makes all the difference, and that's very difficult to do initially when you're in the shock and in denial.
Sure.
But it's when you can really help the child the most in those early years.
Right. Yeah, well, that's a wonderful message that you both have sent out to all our viewers. Thank you so much.
And thank you for bringing this little angel to
Thank you for having us.
That's so wonderful.
Great to have you on Family Comes First.
Thank you.
And now we turn to Monsignor McNamara for a spiritual reflection.
You will find rest for your souls. Alex and Laura Blanco quickly learned to cope with the discovery that their firstborn, Alejandro, is autistic. They find rest for their souls through prayer and bonding of family and friends, I admire the way they keep hope alive. Every parent has dreams for their children, and Laura admits she dreamt her son would be a doctor or a lawyer. She doesn't lose hope. She simply adjusts her dreams and hopes that her son will be able to live a normal life. Her hopes are bolstered by the love and care the entire family gives to Alejandro. Alejandro's disability has brought them closer together. He is not a burden. He is a beautiful young boy, and he brings joy to his family. He is a child of God, who in his own unique way is precious in God's eyes.
Vincent, there's so much to know and understand. What can the Blancos do with respect to their legal planning?
Great question. First of all parents should have a plan in place for their children, a last will and testament and advance directives. But in Alejandro's situation for the family, I think a trust with supplemental needs for him, because having assets passed to him directly will be difficult in terms of asset management and adversely affect government benefits. And more importantly, a non-legal document called a memorandum of intent. And that document spells out everything the parent would want the advocate or a surrogate to know if, God forbid, something should happen to them.
What about resources for parents, Vincent?
Great question. Resources are so important. And so, first of all, we had today the School for Language and Communication Development, and also there's Autism United, Autism Speaks. And for a complete listing of resources, you can go to my law firm's website at vjrussolaw.com.
That's terrific. The Blancos have shown us that having a child with autism can be a challenge and also a blessing. It truly does take a village of family and community and the resources to support all of our children, especially those with special needs.
So true. Thanks to all our viewers for joining us, and remember, family truly does come first.